From his glorious Microtel in-suite studios, it's the 2020 DGPT Championship Day 2 recap with this guy, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Hello and good evening to all of you. Hope you guys are doing well here tonight. As always, I am going to, I got to take just a quick moment or two and hope that everything is up and running and that things look and sound okay so that I don't, the last thing we need is unnecessary rambling. And I know you're laughing at just the thought of that, but seriously, the last thing we need is for this not to be working and for something not to be going correctly. So I want to just make sure that everything is up and running and that people are here and able to join and get in on some of this action. I see a couple of people, including Zach and Joe, along with Alex. Hello, everyone. Luke, how you doing? I just want to go here and see if I can find the link quickly. So funny that you guys are seeing it, but yet YouTube's being difficult. So please bear with me for just another couple of moments here. There we go. It looks like I've got a link that should work for me. And I'm going to go share this to my my friends over at Facebook. That might be a stretch. The people that have accepted friend requests from me at Facebook. How about that? So let me go make a quick, I need a shareable link here. And if you guys are, Alex says, home of the Scotts Memorial, Scottsdale, Arizona. All right, let me put this out here. Man, I could really get crazy and go post even make a tweet. I don't know if I want to go to the Twitters. That place can be crazy as well. All right, so again, I apologize. You guys are just hanging with me for just a moment. Live nightly recap. YouTube. I know you guys love watching somebody do some typing and some work here. Okay. I'm going to send that out. I hope that was the right thing. And hopefully now, if I also click on here, I will be able to see things that you guys are writing or typing so that I can get things officially moving here. Did I do all that right? Did I do that all correctly? All right. Looks and sounds good is what you guys are saying. I can do something about the sounds. I don't know about so much about the looks. However, I'm sure some people have thought this is probably like one of those like Skype or blurred backgrounds or one of those fake backgrounds you'd find in like a Zoom call. No, that's my fun light that I love to travel with. And tonight we've got a light blue. If you would like to figure out how to choose whatever color scheme you would like to see, it all starts with the super chat button on the bottom right of the YouTube chat. All right. So just like I did last time, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what this is not going to be. It is not going to show you highlights. I do not have video footage. I don't have those types of things. I'm going to just quickly assess and analyze some of the things that I saw on the course today. We're going to check in with UDisc and see if there's anything that jumps off the page there. They are a unofficial partner and sponsor of my show here tonight. But thank you seriously to Matt and Josh and Steve and Hype Man Dan and all of the crew over there at UDisc. I've always said I'm not a numbers guy, but sometimes when you look at something like UDisc, such a powerful tool, it gives you storylines and it gives you things to talk about. And I feel like sometimes just things jump off the page at you that can tell a little bit more or can assist in a story that maybe you don't otherwise know. And I feel like that's critical. Theron says, I nearly said hello to you this afternoon. I was spotting the 2 o'clock card, so glad the rain held off today. Well, I wish you would have said hello. Let's say hi tomorrow. I'm all about that. And no, Alex, no strobe light. There's a setting for it. Yeah, my eyes hurt every time I go past it to do what I have to do to get my other settings to work correctly. Thank you to any of the spotters, the volunteers. I will lead with that. That's a great unintended segue. if you are one of the people that has paid for and has become part of the VIP access out there, so you sign up and you can follow around specific cards, you've paid for that. And then on top of it, you get some kind of item from the Disc Golf Pro Tour store. Thank you. No, I don't see any of that directly, of course, but I just thank you for supporting it. Thank you for adhering to COVID guidelines. I mean, we all know that everything is so crazy right now, and there's just not a good way to go about some things. And this is a phase 2 event. And some of our phase 1 events, you couldn't have caddies, you couldn't have any spectators. And now we can have some spectators and we can have some people walk along, but it still has to be very controlled in terms of the overall numbers. So thank you to any and all of those that are adhering to all those guidelines and doing those types of things. Nobody loves going through all that. I'll be the first to say that. I don't think anyone loves that. I know the players don't, and I know the staff doesn't, but if we want to continue to have high level professional golf and a tour, or throughout this entire year, those were all some of the guidelines that absolutely had to be adhered to. And you can argue with them all day, all day on a debate group somewhere if you want, but those are the reality right now. So thank you to all those people. And then that goes along with the Charlotte Disc Golf Club and all of the people that are helping make this event possible. I know we came here kind of late in the game last year to host it, to have the event here, and then having an additional year, albeit a crazy one. You guys just really stepped up, and everything's been really, really incredible. So thank you to everyone in Charlotte. You know, it's no secret that we talk about Charlotte being a disc golf mecca and one of the greatest places to live and to go travel to or visit in order to play golf, because there's just so much golf, so much good disc golf, so many great courses and events and people. And I know that's large in part with the due to the Charlotte Disc Golf Club and all the people that back it. So thank you, and thank you to all of them. Okay, only because I can. Let's take a look at what I wanted to reiterate in case you missed it. This is the Pro Tour Championships. This is presented by Grip 6 belts. I personally rock one. They even make sizes that fit me. Grip 6 belts are great. They don't pay me to say that. I got one now 2.5 years ago at Utah, and I've been using the exact same belt and the exact same buckle. So big shout out to Grip. And you know, they sponsor a bunch of our players and, do a lot of really cool things. Real quick, just touching on those payouts again, the ridiculous that we are seeing both the MPO and the FPO playing for that $20,000 first place prize, $10,000 for second, $5,000 for third. I'm reading the slide for you, and $3,000 for first place. I think the total purse was $130,000, which is absolutely bonkers. So that's incredible. Very, very cool to see. And then you see how those were matched all the way down to the semis and from the men and the women. And then the quarters is there's just a slight variation here. But nonetheless, it is absolutely incredible. I think there is, I'm sure somebody could run a number for me. Is $5,000? Is $5,000 the most we've ever seen for a FPO payout? Am I thinking correctly? Here, I'm gonna do something else real quick. Let's take a look. I think there's an easy way to do this. I'm just guessing, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to a screen, which originally I had prepped for UDisc, but let's click on this. And instead, what I want to do is, I think I can quickly, I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna go to, how about pdga.com, and then let's go down to Paige Pierce. So I've had to look up for a number of reasons here. You can quickly click on, I don't know if you guys know all this, maybe you do, but you can click on her career wins, which is something they just added in the last couple of years. And then you could just simply you can click on any of these headers, which will then sort it by that. So I think if we go here, noticing the smallest win she's had for first place was a flex start. 5,500. All right, so immediately I stand corrected. 5,500 for winning the PDGA Pro Worlds in 2017. So 5,500. That, of course, was taking place down in Augusta, Georgia, where we ultimately played. 12,000 we see for Rick and 6,000 for Paul on that one. But 5,500, I believe the new bar was set the year before. And that's maybe the one that I was thinking of. The year before, why am I not seeing the 20, what I would have thought was the 2016 World? Oh, she didn't win. I apologize. Duh. That's because Valerie Jenkins won that. I believe Val got 5,000 for that. And then here in 2019, we see 5,000 last year for Paige. So I believe those are the largest single regular event checks that we've seen handed out in our divisions. That's so funny that I was assuming Paige had it, but no, Val had the 5,000, I believe it was, at the 2016 Worlds. All right. So let me, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to where I just was a moment ago. I apologize. I'm going to type that in because that's going to get us ready for the next item. Okay. But anyway, point being, whether it's 5,000 or obviously 5,500, I'm going to assume somebody could maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but $5,500 is what we've seen. So 10,000 to be given out this weekend is just incredible. And Zach is trying to tell me he thinks 5K is the current highest ever for FPO Worlds a couple of years ago. Yeah, like I said, I think it was actually Valerie Jenkins, 2016. That was a really big push to get to that. Maybe it was 6,000. Now I'm going to feel dumb. Here's what we're going to do, people, because you're going to make me, because otherwise I'm going to feel stupid. So we're going to go here. And actually, because I'm silly, 1,495. That was quick and easy. We get to the right answer. Let's go to her 2016 and see what that number was. 5,000. Okay, I feel so much better now that we got that all locked in. Okay. So I'm gonna take us right over here to today's action on the FPO side. All this other rambling will finally get us here to today's action. The four women that, as I really could push that out, the four women that pushed through today: Jessica Weiss, Holly Finley, Lisa Fakis, and Missy Gannon. You saw them do it with scores of ranging from 2 under for Jessica Weiss to 2 over by Missy Gannon. Now, Missy Gannon would have had a tiebreaker in a situation with a Rebecca Cox or an Ellen Widboom. Missy Gannon, I believe, came in here either the 6th, maybe, 6th overall. So she, like I said, she had the tiebreaker. I apologize. I'm not showing you this. Here we go. Missy Gannon would have had the 6th tiebreaker. Okay. And it didn't matter. She had the +2 today, which then pushes her in to tomorrow's round. So I want to take a quick look. I know I kind of harped on this yesterday, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. Just that, and of course, it could be a little bit different for FPO than what we saw in day one from the MPO, but the kind of the same concept seems to still apply. There's a lot more birdies available on the front half of the course, and a few less that you see getting picked up on the back half of the course. Now, Lisa Fakis, wants to spit in my face of that and say, hey, I'll go 4 down over the last 8 holes, which is incredible. But for the most part, it seems like there's just, generally speaking, a few more birdies out here that are found on the front, more so on the back. That trend may or may not continue. It definitely is happening on the MPO side, but the FPO side plays slightly different tees. Hole 18, for instance, looks totally different and is a par 4 for the women as opposed to the men, and just is a totally different hole. But Jessica Weiss today playing really consistent. Of course, she had a couple bogeys there, got them back right away, and then just played par throughout. And when it was all said and done, it was only her and Ellen Widboom that looked like they had about the same amount of pars out there on the round. 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, Ellen had 12 pars, as opposed to Jessica, who had 10. But Ellen ran into a little bit of trouble there to kind of close out the tournament. So what does this mean? That's a good question. The question would be, what is going to be hot tomorrow? What are we going to see? Thanks to UDisc, I can simply click over on the semifinals. And here's what we see tomorrow for our 2 cards. There's a 40-minute gap. Hopefully, we should not have any backups out there. But leading off first will be Jessica Weiss, Lisa Fakis, Holly Finley, and Missy, all of the 4 women that pushed through today. And then you have your 4 that have received buys up into this point, of course, being Paige, Sarah, Kat, and Haley. And that's the order in which they finished on the Pro Tour stats. So this is so crucial that in the event of a tie, if any of those women were to tie, the tiebreaker always goes to who has more total tour points. All right. So obviously we let's just go silly and say all 8 of them tie. Well, Paige, Sarah, let's say they all 8 of them shot the exact same score. They all shot 6 under par. Paige, Sarah, Kat, and Haley would be the 4 that move on. There wouldn't be any additional holes. There would be no sudden death. There wouldn't be anything of that nature. All 4 of them would just simply move on. And that is so crucial to note. There was some gameplay out there, some chess matches just today. We saw it with James Conrad, saw it a little bit on the FPO side as well. They're thinking about the scores. They're thinking about the tiebreakers. And I just think that brings another really fun element into the overall weekend when they're thinking about those, as it's already a pretty unique format. But I do think it is something that's to be considered and something that's going to factor in. It more so did on MPO today, but it can certainly factor in tomorrow. Simply going out and tying the best in the world tomorrow might not be good enough, depending on how many total points that you have. All right. So I don't know if there's too much else I really want to break down. I just want to, for the 10th time, say thank you to Matt and Josh, who have created this incredible tool. Hopefully you're following along with your Bushnell bracket. I saw that I'm in like 1500th place in both the FPO and MPO. So obviously my guesses have not been too spot on. And maybe another night when we have more time, we'll talk more about the UDisc count. But if you want to know more about it, you can click on it. Give an hour of your time just to go out and help count how many, get a rough estimate. We're doing a little research. They're doing a little research on how many people are playing disc golf out there these days. So tomorrow morning, separate broadcast, just like we had today, where there will be a separate FPO feed in the morning. There'll be a very quick break for everyone to kind of charge batteries for a few minutes, all our cameramen to rest for 2 minutes, and then turn around and go back out for the afternoon golf. All right. So I will take all of that. Let's go back one quick second and take a guess at the easiest hole on the course. Yeah, I guess that's a no-brainer. That's probably going to be hole 2 today. Looks like it was all birdies or pars. So the water carry, no problem. Everyone found themselves on. And as I've taught you guys in the past, if you click on course stats, we could do a sort by average relative to par. And you find that the easiest hole on the course, in fact, was hole 2 today. 267 feet and 58% birdies, 42% and 0 bogeys. I don't know if I've ever seen that, like ever, anywhere. On any 0 bogeys on a hole. That's pretty incredible. Hole 9 came in as the second or third easiest here, giving up 42% birdies. Of course, pretty small fields out here, but I think there's still a lot to be said. Again, something like hole 10 jumps right off the page at me when I see 67% of the field managed to take the par, and there were 0 birdies on the day there. Same with hole 16, 0 birdies on the day. Those are always great because you take a look at those and you could say, hey, what could be done from a design standpoint to try and create the best possible holes. All right, I'm going to click over. This little button brings us to MPO. Oh, spoiler alert. Yeah, you're 4 moving on. Not from round 1, but from round 2 there. I was panicked. Kyle Klein, Austin Hannum, Eric Oakley and James Conrad. And James Conrad, I'll use him as an example. He was talking about how he just needed to lay up. That's all he knew he needed in the last hole or two, being in the last group, knowing where the scores were at, knowing what the tiebreakers were. He knew he just needed to lay up. And then on 17 to take a par, and on 18, he just needed the par. Excuse me. And I believe even had he tied Emerson, I think he would have taken Emerson down in points. So had he taken a bogey per se, I think he would have still taken him down in points, if I recall. Now, look at wow. Look at what Conrad did. And this speaks a little bit to the back and speaking to changing up his game plan, but had 5 birdies in the first 7 holes, which is exactly what you want to do. That sounds all too obvious, but I mean, you need to pick up 4 or 5 or 6 birdies ideally in that front 9. And then you just kind of need to hold on and maintain in the back for the most part. And that's exactly what he did there. There were a little bit more birdies picked up on the back here today. We also had a slightly higher, more consistent group of players playing today, but the back certainly still played a little bit tougher than what the front did overall. You see a lot more pars out there, not necessarily not struggles with bogeys, but them taking more pars still tells you the difficulty out there. We saw a late push. Paul Ulibar, I feel like, tried to make a push. He was kind of teasing the idea of getting at it. Andrew Presnell really, really rebounded amazingly after the snowman he took on hole number 3. And he came back with a lot of birdies throughout, but of course, just not enough. Now, here's something I'll say about maybe tomorrow and the next couple of days in terms of the finishes. And I'm not saying this happened today, but this is something just to keep in mind. If you start seeing some kind of crazy numbers near the ends, I feel like some of our players, they're going for broke at that point. If you're back 4 or 5 or 6 strokes and there's only 4 or 5 or 6 holes to play, at that point you don't care, because if you shoot 23 over or you shoot 3 over and both of them miss the cut, then it really doesn't matter here. So I was thinking about that today as I was looking at some of those numbers quickly. Not saying those holes weren't difficult and they weren't truly struggling, but just know when it's getting late in the round, there's not a lot of birdies left. You might see a lot of bigger numbers come about simply because those players are going for everything. They know they're down 3 or 4 strokes. They've got 5 or 6 holes to go. They need to make a push. So they're taking lines. They're taking the most aggressive routes. They're lining up a 50-footer that maybe they wouldn't necessarily go as aggressively at. But today, or in that situation, they're trying to make it. And if they go 30 or 40 past and they miss the comebacker, well, then so be it. So it's just a little bit different style of golf if you're pushing hard at the end. So keep that in mind, that I don't want to say all scores are equal out here, because it's a different mentality as things are pushing through the end of the round. So that's something to think about. Now, the MPO, just like the FPO, they've got fresh faces coming in tomorrow. Some people that have not played any golf, and I just mentioned Haley, Sarah, Katrina, Paige. They haven't played competitive golf these last 2 days. Now, they may have played with their friends, they may have gotten a practice round in or walked the course, whatever the case might be, but they have not been playing tournament golf here for these last couple of days. Same of Eagle McMahon and Wysocki, Paul McBeth, so on and so forth. Kyle, I saw Kyle, KJ USA, sorry, kept calling Kevin Jones out there today. And he's like, I'm loving this. He's like, I said, yeah, you're just sitting here, and with every passing day, you're making more money in theory, because that means you're just waiting for your turn to play. And he just, as always, smile from ear to ear, just loving it out there. And his teammate, I saw her out there as well, in Heather Young, who I think maybe broke a few brackets today, because I think a lot of people probably had Heather picked to move forward as well here today. So I think she was one of my picks. And I was a little surprised just she clearly seemed like she was just a bit off today. So, all right. Trying to catch up with a few of the messages there. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take another quick look at if there's anything else that jumps out at me on the on UDisc. So let's take another quick look over there. If there was anything else that jumps out at me as crazy, no. Statistically, looking at birdies, obviously maybe not necessarily the case, but not too much of a shocker. Your two of your highest scorers also had the highest percentage of birdies in Kyle Klein and Austin Hannum. Oakley didn't have quite as many birdies, but also only had one stroke above par at any point. And then James Conrad had a ton of pars and only had 28% birdies on the round, so to speak. So, that ties with what Thomas Gilbert had in terms of birdies out there today. One thing maybe I could take a quick look at here is let's take a look at the actual round scores. And again, I feel like this is really where my mentality came earlier today. I don't know that you can just take a look at the round scores and the average here, and that's necessarily indicative of how everyone played today, because there's that kind of push factor at the end. But the course overall did play as negative 2.38 during round one. And then today it played a little bit better, they played it a little bit better, we should say, at worse, at negative 2.17. So, again, you can, what's the book? You can make statistics lie or say anything you want. There's lots of reason and logic behind those, but that's in a normal event. That's something that I always find interesting is, are the players improving round after round? Are they dialing it in? Are things getting easier or not? And on the FPO side, I don't know if we have such limited, it played as average 3.83 over par out there today. So we can take a look at it tomorrow. I think it's going to probably be a little bit lower overall, because I think we're going to have some of our best rated players out on the course and attacking it. All right. Let me bring this back for just a moment. And I'm going to take a look at the board here on the good old YouTubes, and hopefully answer a few questions, maybe address anything you guys have that's lingering or something. And then I'm going to cut things actually kind of short here tonight. So I think one of the surprises, I will say also out there, or not, maybe to some of you, per your voting, I was really shocked to see Paige Shue struggle as much as she did today. And I'm going to say, and that's meant as nothing but a compliment, but I also wonder, when I go back quickly and take a look, right out of the gate, unfortunately, she literally hit the first tree available off the tee to get her day started. And I wonder if that was just, I don't know. I don't know what that was in terms of if that was a slip or if there's any nerves. I know she was excited to play. However, we didn't see her compete in the women's nationals. And I think that was really an interesting decision to not be there and to be competing last week. And maybe she was just saving her energy and her practice time to concentrate and focus on this weekend. But she opened up with a triple bogey 6. She immediately took a birdie on hole 2 to follow it. And then from there, she just kind of struggled throughout. And for me personally, of all of the shocks or surprises on the day, that to me would have ranked up as the most shocking. I mean, there's other people that made it or didn't, according to what I might have thought, but just in terms of the way Paige struggled today. So let's see if she hits reset. Let's see how she comes back, obviously, in the new season when things are a little more normal. Her and Grady have moved to North Carolina full-time, and we'll see what that does for them in the off season. One other quick side note to all of that I do want to talk about, though, is The one thing that was almost a little sad today is when players tapped out on 18, that's the last you might see of some of them for the year. Like literally outside of their social medias, for a lot of them, that might be the last time you see them throw a disc this year. Of course, they might go play in a B tier or a C tier or some tournaments. They may or may not. But the chances of that then getting covered and then being released and all that aren't necessarily great. And so I know some of them have plans to continue to play. Some of them don't. But this might be the last time you see them play in an official capacity for a couple months, depending on who the player is. And to me, it really kind of gave me that sad playoff feeling, when your favorite team or whatever loses in a playoffs, because you're like, oh, that's it. That go big or go home, win or go home, whatever the cliches are, all of them. And that moment struck me a little bit today. And as I watched a few of our players, and I think some of them know that and realize that. Well, I think they all do. But just thinking how you grow to love and follow so many of these players throughout the year, and now, we might be shutting off that faucet for a few of them. Now, a lot of them continue to do a lot of stuff, and hopefully they've developed their social media, and you're going to see an off-season training regimen, and you're going to see an off-season sponsor pickup. You're going to see hopefully some continued interaction. But in terms of competitive disc golf in a tournament setting, that might be it. I think we might see some of the virtual putting invitational and some of those things come back, but again, not quite the exact same. So cherish the moment, send them, they love the post on their Facebook and their YouTube or their Instagram accounts or wherever. If you like or follow someone or you admire or look up to someone, it probably doesn't hurt to send a nice, an additional message if or when they find themselves eliminated this weekend. So, hi Miles, hope you're doing well over there at Club Paragon. So that's a thought that crossed my mind today. All right, let me read a few more questions here. Out of the 4 winners today, who has the most tour points? Luke is asking, and I think that's a good question. I wouldn't want to inaccurately. I'd have to pull up probably something else here on UDisc, which actually will probably just take me a moment. But it's going to get confusing repeating them all. If you go out to UDisc, or if you just wait for the Pro Tour's most updated graphic, I bet you when that comes out, either tonight or tomorrow, it'll likely have what position they finished within the tour. So if you finish 7th or 9th or 13th, and then you're all in the same card, wherever they finished on the tour should answer your question regarding that. So hopefully that answers what you're. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to read a bunch of numbers and confuse everybody. Do you think Hornets Nest plays as a forehand dominant course? I see where it's advantageous, but I think that could be said of every course. I don't think dominant. I don't think forehand dominant is the right answer. I think this course, and anytime you're in a wooded course, to be able to stand still because you're caught behind a bush or probably a tree, because if you can stand still and then reach out to your right, for instance, if you're a righty forehander, and you may not otherwise have a backhand shot, I just think it becomes more crucial here in the woods than most other places. Like, let's put it this way. A person who throws 0 forehands could win the preserve, for instance. I truly feel that. There is not a shot out there that's like, okay, you're going to lose the tournament because you don't have this forehand, or you're going to be pinched or in a position where you really need to rely on one. Of course, having one always helps. That's a no-brainer. However, at a place like the preserve, as opposed to here, you're so much more handcuffed if you do not have a forehand, and that doesn't necessarily just mean off the tee. I think it means more so when you're scrambling and when you find yourself in trouble, because you're going to be behind a tree. Let's face it. You're going to be in an awkward position, or not be able to reach out, or just be pinched up against something. So a forehand is really the only option. It's going to be November soon. It certainly is. Emily, it was a pleasure to meet you, you and Cody. I very much appreciate all the support, all the love you guys always give anytime I'm doing something on in the media side. So I very much appreciate it. And it was a pleasure to meet you today after I met Cody yesterday as well. Hope you guys are enjoying the tournament out there, taking it in. Some of the ladies will be on coverage at Women's 4 in Maryland. That's awesome. Hopefully we will see a good turnout there. One event that's not happening this year is the women's event out in Phoenix, the one that I've attended for the last few years and been able to go to. That's another one that I'm disappointed. And of course, we have a ton of tournaments that have been canceled, so it does kind of disappoint me. Although me and Steve Rico are going to be in Las Vegas next weekend. It should be a fun one to cover. Do you have any hints about what Paul and Discraft have been teasing? We know you know what's going on. I exchanged a few messages with Paul. I specifically had said I'm not looking to share anything when I did go back and forth with him. I can't. I'll admit though, I didn't press him, and nor do I know all the details as to what's going on. So we'll have to wait and see. The order they tee, and yes, the order in which they tee will tell you who had the most points. So Joe, good call. So tomorrow, be cognizant of who is teeing in what order tomorrow when they tee off. That will tell you who in fact has the most points among them, of them that are left. Hornet's Nest reminds me of a Milo MacIver. Yeah, obviously different types of trees. I feel like Milo has more elevation though, which, yeah, the different style of trees, and Milo's not as tight. Milo's, they have beautiful fairways that are lined, but Milo's not quite as tight of a course as what you'd find, I feel like, at Hornet's Nest. Super 8 stepped up their game. No, Daryl, I don't mess around with that 2-star. This might be a 2.5. No, actually, I think this is a 2-star hotel as well. I'm at a Wyndham, Rewards related Wyndham Club chain. I am at a microtel, and these lights, those are brought in by me. F, I've been wondering, and if so, how good would you say you are liking the streams? I'm not sure. Thank you. Speaking of which, if you like the video, it's always great to like it. It helps with my channel, and I don't say what all those YouTubers say, which tells you to smash or obliterate or demolish the like button. If you want to do any of that, you're welcome to. Luke says, thanks, peace out, good night. Appreciate it, Luke. Will the DGPT aired live Sunday for non-members? That's a great question, Christopher. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think so, but I honestly, that is just a off-the-cuff guess. Obviously, all the action has been happening on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, on the Disc Golf Network for these for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Will Sunday be fully live? I'm going to assume so, but don't bet your favorite disc on it. But it probably is. So tomorrow's final card would be Macbeth, Eagle, Ricky, and Kelvin. Sweet. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if that's what you're just speculating or hoping for, but I will tell you what the card tomorrow is at 3 o'clock is, yes, Paul, Calvin, Ricky, and Eagle. And that is the 3 p.m. Eastern tee-off. I'll read you the other cards quickly then. Dickerson it's at 2:30 is Chris Dickerson, Nico LaCastro, Kevin Jones, and Garrett Gerthy. And then also the 4 from today, James Conrad, Kyle Klein, Austin Hannum, and Eric Oakley. That is at 2 p.m. Eastern time is the start that are listed for those. So yeah, that's pretty valid question. Again, all on the Disc Golf Network. That will not be on YouTube tomorrow. The Disc Golf Network for sure has it. It will not be on YouTube tomorrow. And yes, typing on an iPad is hard. Do you play disc golf yourself? And if how good do you think? I've been wondering since I started following you. Real quick, I will say I used to be kind of sort of good way back when I peaked in 2007 ish. Those were pre-kids. That was a different world. That was pre-media. 2007, I was rated 995. And it's funny because back then there was only a few dozen, maybe 100 or so, 1,000 rated players. Now we have almost 500. And so it's kind of funny watching the evolution, and I don't want to call it inflation, but evolution of where ratings have really come and gone throughout all these years. But I did peak, and yes, I'm frustrated that I never made it to that 1,000 mark. Obviously, I was very close. I was in the 990s for a long time, and yeah, I used to do okay as a regional pro. I was never beating the big dogs, but I think I did tie Johnny McRae at Worlds in 2003. So I mean, I haven't forgotten that. I've cashed in a few Worlds. So I used to be much better. Obviously, now I'm down to playing a couple rounds a month at most, and I'm happy I get to play. My cat's breath smells like cat food. It would be weird if your cat's breath smelled like anything but cat food or cat's butt. Well, those are pretty much, I feel like, the two options. Okay, that's good. Still there. Terry, with regards to paid streaming, do you think the vast majority of disc golfers not seeing the tournaments without significant delay overall hurts the fan base following and growing? To whom? I mean, are we getting randoms? Are we? Yes, there's maybe more people, but the people we are getting now are more dedicated fans. So which ones are? Is there one that's more valuable than another? That's obviously a really big question that I don't know that we have the statistics or the analysis to fully back up throughout all the years. That's a good question. I feel like if you want to watch disc golf, you can right now. You have to pay for it, but you can watch it. And I understand when someone says, "Well, that's not growing it," but says who? I mean, you're creating more dedicated fans, and is a more dedicated fan better than a flippant or a? And I hate to use the word flippant in a negative way here. I think that's the only way. But and then more of a recreational fan. And is one more valuable than another? Again, I'm not a marketing genius or even a guru by any means. Those are all good questions. I think you need to go to other niche sports and figure out what they determine to be their most valuable fan base. Is it the dedicated? Is it the fringe? Those are questions that are way beyond me. Tell you a story about 09 Worlds, please. I got a couple of them. I had the pleasure of playing with the 2007 Amateur World Champ, Katie Stouse. We played mixed doubles and just barely missed the cash, if I recall, or did we play terrible? We had fun. That was fun. Avery's playoff with Josh Anthon was insane. I feel like when I got off the course the first round, Avery had me that year. Again, distance isn't my strong suit, but we played Blue Valley our first round of Worlds, and I think he had me by exactly 18 strokes. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's great. Which is no surprise. I mean, Blue Valley at the time was pushing the limits of long courses and was incredible. I had a ton of fun at that one. I believe that was the last place. I had the pleasure of hugging Mr. Tim Selinsky, who was kind of famous for giving hugs, and like myself, he loved to give them out, and just the kindest, sweetest soul. And he passed away, so I could tell you about that. And Kansas City is an amazing disc golf mecca as well. So Swope, Waterworks, all those Cliff Drive was one of the newer courses that was added, and then the Blue Valley. So there's a few thoughts from the 09 Worlds off the top of my head. Political chat. No, sorry, not a political chat. The live coverage has created more prestige to the events over the national tour. Some have said that. that we're providing something that the National Tour currently isn't, unless you're the Glass Blown Open, and they've hired Smashbox. The Pdga stuff was a little high, but DGPT seems to have a cool monthly subscription. Plus, you get more Terry, Nate, and Jamie, which some love, and admittedly, some don't. And there you have it. And we appreciate the love and support. All right, what I appreciate is you guys. I'm not going to ramble on because I could do that for 6 or 8 or 12 more hours. You already know that. I will give you another update, assuming everything goes well tomorrow. I plan to give you another update. Hopefully, I'll have less of a headache and be a little less tired. But I wanted to come in here and chat with you guys tonight. I cannot say enough how much I appreciate you for joining me. I can answer questions for hours and hours and hours, but hopefully you find a little fulfillment. I continually run the Disc Golf Pro Tour's Instagram stories account, usually when I'm on the road. And then I try to do a little bit more on my Instagram, and I hope you guys enjoy this as well. And if you're dead set on helping me out in one way or another, there's always the super chat function here, and then there's also my Patreon page as well, which, holy cow, I think I can put that in there. I'm going to take a few of these and put them into my Patreon account. Not all of them, but a few of them. And that's a really great way to support what I continue to do here. And I'm going to have some giveaways. I haven't been giving stuff away enough, and we all know that's silly because you guys know and love and miss some giveaways. Ryan, I know you missed the whole thing. Well, we love you, buddy. You able to control your background lighting again? Yes, I am. Whoever super chats the most or reaches out to me gets to pick the color scheme. And if that's not big time, if that doesn't show you how cheap and easy I am, I don't know. What time tomorrow? Probably 9 or 10-ish Eastern is when I'll start this. And then the coverage, you're going to make me look it up. Because the coverage for the men will probably start around 2:30 Eastern, if I had to guess. Again, check all the Disc Golf Pro Tours socials for that. And on the women's side for the semifinals, it says that they tee at 9:20 and 10 o'clock. So I'm guessing around 9:20 or 9:30-ish is maybe when we'd come in for the FPO side. I didn't check the sheet yet. The boss man just sent one out, so I got to go do that. You guys got to do all the math for other time zones. Goodbye. Love you. Goodbye. I'm going to sign out. I'm trying to keep this thing short. I promised it would be. I did all right. I appreciate it. Here's the payout chart again. It's incredible. And now it's time for me to sign off. I think I need a sign off, a really good one. And this concludes the 2020 DGPT Championship Day 2 recap from the live audience and the Microtel Inn & Suites Disc Golf Studios found in Charlotte, North Carolina. Signing out. Have a good night. Love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.